the years go by, many of us find ourselves grappling with the complexities of aging. It's a journey that goes far beyond the physical changes we notice in the mirror, the graying hair, the deepening laugh lines, the occasional creak in our bones that wasn't there before. In truth, the hardest part of getting older often lies much deeper. It involves emotional and psychological shifts, the changing perspectives on life, and the redefinition of who we are as individuals as time marches on. In countless discussions found on major online forums, it's clear that people from all walks of life, young and old, are wrestling with similar feelings and experiences. The good news is that if you're feeling this way, you're not alone. Let's delve deeper into some of the challenges of aging and explore how we might navigate them together. 1. Facing the reality of time and mortality. One of the most profound realizations that come with aging is an acute awareness of time's relentless and often unforgiving march forward. In youth, time feels endless, and life stretches out before us like an open highway with no end in sight. We have dreams, ambitions, and goals that feel like they can be deferred indefinitely. The idea that there's always tomorrow permeates our thoughts. But as we grow older, the perception of time begins to shift. The days seem shorter, the months slip by unnoticed, and before we know it, years have passed in what feels like the blink of an eye. The realization that life is finite becomes stark and inescapable. Many people express a sense of urgency as they age, a feeling that they need to accomplish everything before time runs out. This urgency can manifest as anxiety or even trigger a midlife crisis, a period where people reassess their choices, sometimes with a mix of regret and hope. The sudden awareness that there might not be enough time to achieve all the things we once thought possible can be overwhelming. A survey of adults over 50 revealed that nearly 60% admitted to feeling some level of regret over paths they didn't take, careers they didn't pursue, or dreams left unfulfilled. One story shared by a man in his late 50s on Reddit resonates with many. He talked about his lifelong dream of traveling the world. He had wanted to explore the great cities of Europe, hike through the mountains of Asia, and experience the vibrant cultures of South America. Yet, like so many, life seemed to get in the way. Work obligations, raising a family, and financial constraints had always come first. Now, with his children grown and retirement on the horizon, he's finally planning those trips. While he acknowledges that his body isn't what it used to be, his story serves as a powerful reminder. Though time may feel more limited, it's never too late to pursue our passions. What we can learn from this is the importance of seizing the moment, regardless of where we are in life. Even if we can't do things exactly as we once envisioned, there's almost always a way to adapt our dreams to our current reality. If you've always wanted to write a book, start writing now. If travel has been on your mind, maybe begin with smaller trips. Life is fleeting, but the key is not to let that knowledge paralyze us with fear. Instead, let it motivate us to live more fully in the time we have left. 2. Dealing with physical and mental decline. Aging brings with it a series of changes to our bodies and minds, changes that are often difficult to accept. The physical aspects of aging are perhaps the most visible and immediate. As we grow older, our bodies don't work the way they used to. The stamina we had in our youth diminishes, and activities that once felt effortless now require more energy and recovery time. We become more prone to injuries, and even small tasks like climbing stairs or carrying groceries can start to feel like a burden. In one popular online forum, a user in their late 60s shared how they had once been an avid runner. Running had been their escape, their therapy. It had helped them clear their mind and stay fit. But now they could barely jog without feeling winded. They described the deep frustration and sadness that came with losing a hobby that had been such an integral part of their life. For many, this decline feels like a loss of identity. Mental decline is another aspect of aging that can cause fear and distress. We've all experienced moments of forgetfulness, but as we age, these instances can become more frequent. It might take longer to recall names or details, and processing new information can feel slower. Beyond these natural, gradual changes, conditions like Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia loom large in the minds of many older adults. The fear of losing one's independence or cognitive abilities, of no longer being able to enjoy life as we once did, is a common thread in many discussions around aging. Despite these changes, it's crucial to focus on what we can still do and find new ways to enjoy life. I, for one, have discovered activities that are kinder to my body, such as swimming and yoga. These forms of exercise provide not only physical benefits, but also mental and emotional healing. By embracing these gentler pursuits, I've learned to appreciate the present and adapt to the changes that come with aging rather than constantly longing for the past. 3. Loneliness and isolation. Another significant challenge many face as they grow older is the shrinking of social circles. Friends move away, relationships change, and sometimes people simply drift apart. For those who are single or whose children have moved out, loneliness can become a heavy burden. A thread on an online forum was filled with heartfelt stories from people in their 60s and 70s who felt isolated. Many spoke about how difficult it was to make new friends at their age, especially after the loss of lifelong companions. The global pandemic only heightened this sense of isolation, as social distancing and lockdowns made it harder for people to reconnect with the outside world. The isolation that many older adults faced during this time led to feelings of depression and anxiety as they struggled to navigate an already lonely period of life. Studies show that chronic loneliness can have significant health consequences, including an increased risk of heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline. However, it's important to recognize that loneliness, while painful, isn't insurmountable. One of the most effective ways to combat loneliness is by seeking out social connections, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. I've personally found that joining community groups, volunteering, and reconnecting with old friends have helped ease my sense of isolation. It's not always easy to put ourselves out there, especially when we feel vulnerable, but building and maintaining social connections is crucial for our mental and emotional well-being as we age. 4. Regrets and unfulfilled dreams. As we reach different milestones in life, it's natural to reflect on the paths we didn't take, the opportunities we missed, or the dreams that went unfulfilled. This can lead to feelings of regret or a sense that we've wasted valuable time. Many people, as they approach their 60s, 70s, and beyond, start to ask themselves difficult questions. What if I had taken that job? Zrenia, what if I had moved to that city? Logically, what if I had pursued my passion earlier in life? A poignant story shared by a man in his 70s on a forum captures this sentiment perfectly. He had always wanted to learn to play the piano, but life, work, family obligations, and other distractions had always gotten in the way. Now, with more time on his hands, he decided to pursue that dream, even though he admitted that learning something new at his age was much harder than it would have been when he was younger. But rather than dwell on the years he'd lost, he chose to focus on what he could still achieve. Regret can be a powerful emotion, but it's also a motivator. It reminds us that there's still time to pursue those dreams, even if we have to approach them differently than we originally planned. The past doesn't have to define our future. Whether it's learning a new skill, pursuing a hobby, or making a lifestyle change, it's never too late to start something new. Embracing the idea of better late than never can help us move forward, free from the weight of past regrets. Embracing the journey. Ultimately, aging is a complex process that affects us all in different ways. It comes with challenges, some physical, some emotional, and some psychological. But it's also a journey rich with opportunities for growth, self-reflection, and discovery. The key is to approach this stage of life with resilience, adaptability, and an open heart. By sharing our experiences and supporting one another, we can turn the trials of aging into a source of strength and wisdom. Whether it's facing the reality of time, adapting to physical changes, overcoming loneliness, or chasing unfulfilled dreams, there's always a way to navigate the complexities of growing older. After all, this chapter of life can be just as rich and fulfilling as any that came before. In the words of the late poet Robert Browning, "Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be." The challenge of staying relevant in a rapidly changing world. As the world changes at an unprecedented pace, many older adults experience a growing sense of disconnection from the rapidly evolving landscape around them. Technology is advancing faster than ever, reshaping almost every aspect of daily life. Societal norms and cultural trends that once felt familiar become foreign and difficult to grasp. This sense of being left behind, of no longer understanding the world or the younger generation, can be deeply unsettling and even isolating. I recently came across a forum post written by a woman in her 50s, expressing her frustration with trying to connect with her teenage children. Their lives seemed completely dominated by digital communication, social media platforms she didn't understand, online gaming worlds she'd never heard of, and apps that didn't exist when she was their age. As she struggled to understand their interests and the way they connected with their friends, she felt a growing distance, almost as if they were living in a parallel universe she couldn't access. Her experience is a common one, especially as the gap between generations is widened by technology and changing social dynamics. For many older adults, the digital revolution has led to a growing sense of irrelevance. Not only do they feel out of touch with the younger generation, but they also feel sidelined by the very tools that seem to power the modern world. Smartphones, the internet, artificial intelligence, and digital payment systems, to name a few. For those who grew up in a time when face-to-face interaction was the norm, where personal letters and phone calls were the primary modes of communication, today's online-centric world can feel overwhelming. This creates a cultural and generational gap, making older adults feel as though they are losing their connection not only to the younger generation, but also to the fast-paced, ever-changing society at large. However, staying relevant in a rapidly changing world is less about trying to keep up with every new development and more about maintaining curiosity and openness. Curiosity is the key to bridging that gap and keeping ourselves connected to the world around us. Personally, I've made it a point to engage with new technologies, ask questions about how things work, and even participate in conversations with younger people to learn more about their world. When we approach technology and change with a sense of curiosity rather than intimidation or frustration, it becomes an opportunity for learning and growth. For instance, when my grandchildren first introduced me to social media, I was initially overwhelmed by the platforms. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they seemed like digital labyrinths I would never understand. But instead of avoiding them, I asked my grandchildren to teach me. Not only did this give me a better understanding of their world, but it also strengthened our bond. It wasn't just about learning to use the apps. It was about maintaining a connection with the next generation. And in that way, staying relevant is not just about keeping up. It's about staying engaged with the people and the world around us. Technology and societal shifts may be intimidating at first, but by remaining curious and open, we can bridge the generational gap and continue to feel connected, relevant, and involved in the world. The more we embrace this mindset, the more we can combat the sense of irrelevance and find joy in adapting to new changes. 6. Finding purpose in later life. As we grow older, the roles that once defined us, whether as parents, workers, or caregivers, begin to fade. For decades, many of us pour our energy into our careers or raising a family, and those roles give us a clear sense of identity and purpose. We know who we are and what is expected of us. But when retirement arrives, or when children leave the nest, many people find themselves grappling with the difficult question: what comes next? In our younger years, we often focus on productivity and accomplishments as markers of success. Careers, promotions, financial achievements, and family responsibilities shape our identities. However, as these roles wind down, the challenge of finding a new purpose in life becomes pressing. This shift can be disorienting, especially in a society that tends to tie value to work and output. Many older adults find themselves asking, "Who am I if I'm no longer working?" Or, "What will give my life meaning now that my children have grown?" I recently came across a poignant story shared by a woman in her 60s on a popular online forum. She'd spent her entire adult life working, building a career she was proud of. But when she retired, she found herself adrift. Without the structure and purpose her job provided, she didn't know what to do with her time. Her days, once filled with meetings, projects, and deadlines, were suddenly wide open, and she struggled to fill the void. At first, she felt lost and unproductive. However, she gradually began to explore old hobbies that she had set aside during her working years. One of these was art, something she had always loved, but never had time for. She took painting classes, started creating her own artwork, and eventually discovered a renewed sense of identity through this creative outlet. What began as a way to pass the time turned into a deeply fulfilling passion that gave her life new meaning.